Uh, okay, so okay, so should I start? Uh, we can start the race conjunction. Okay, okay. So in today's class, what we are going to cover is minus and cofactors of determinants. Then we'll go to inverse of matrix, happy Teachers Day, Sonia. System of linear equations, system of linear equations. Then we'll go to solving system of linear equation by Cramer's rule. Then we'll do Gauss elimination method to solve system of linear equations. Then we'll do Gauss-Jordan method of finding inverse. Okay, so let's start. So in the previous lecture, we have seen that how can we calculate the determinant and the multiplication of matrices. So uh, let's see the correct way of finding the determinant. So say we are writing a matrix A whose determinant, I am writing it in the general form. So it was A11, A12, A13. So the first index shows the row number, the second index shows the column number. So A21, A22, A23, A31, A32, A33. So as we have seen that to calculate the determinant, we have written it as, say we are taking first row and we want to calculate the determinant. So what we did, we write A11, then we cut the row, first row and the first column, and the rest we write A22, A23, A32, A33 minus A12, and then what we do, we cut the first row and the second column and we write the else. So A21, A23, A31, A33 plus now we take this A13 and we cut the first row and the third column and we write the rest. Okay, so the rest is A21, A22, A31, A32. So this was the determinant of the matrix whose elements were like written in this indices form. These A's may be some number. Okay, so you can see that here I have used plus, here I have used minus, here I have used plus. So how to determine where to take positive and where to take negative? So see, here I have taken the first row, you can take the second row also, you can take the third row, or you can take any of the column and you can calculate the determinant will be same. Okay, so how to start, how to guess what the number, what this sign here will be? So let me tell you, these are these are the minors. We call these minors, and when these minors come with sign, we call them cofactors. So these determinants, these broken determinants are called minors, and when we put them with sign, we call them. Okay, let me increase my audio. Let me know if there is any noise. So, okay, I'm increasing the microphone receptor. Is it okay? My voice is okay now? Okay. So when we put minus with sign, they are called cofactors. So if say each element of a matrix has a minor. So if I want to write a minor corresponding to A11, so minor corresponding to A11, what we can write? These are the minors corresponding to A11. So we can form a different matrix. Say these are the minors A M11, M12, M13, and so on, M21, and so on. So if I want to calculate this M21 minor of 21, so what we do, we cut these and we write these and these as a minor. So M21 will be, what M21 will be? A12, A13, A32, A33. These are this is the minor for second row and first column. So you can calculate any minor. Uh, okay. So to calculate the determinant, what we want to do, we want to calculate the cofactors. So these cofactors come with sign, and this cofactors says exactly that what the determinant will be. So how to guess what the sign will be? So the rule is Cjk equals to minus 1 to the power j plus k m of jk. So this goes like, if I want to calculate C11, so cofactor of first row and first column, so this will be M11. So we have seen that how we can calculate the minor of first row and first column. And what will be the sign? Minus 1 to the power 1 plus 1, that is minus 1 to the power 2 is 1. So it will be M11. But if you want to calculate C12, say first row and second column, so this will be minus 1 to the power 1 plus 2 M12, that is minus M12. Okay. So if you want to see what the sign will be without calculating this minus 1 to the power something, so it will be like, we start with plus, then we write minus, then we write plus, then we write minus, plus minus, plus minus plus, likewise. So this is a 3 by 3 matrix, the determinant. So we can write the cofactor like, first one will be plus, the second one will be minus, then third one will be plus. So we can take any row or any column, but we have to take the account what the sign. Okay. So this was the 3 by 3 determinant. Say if I want to write 4 by 4 determinant. So let's say we want to write 4 by 4 determinant. So the sign will be plus, minus, plus, minus, minus, plus, minus, plus, plus, minus, plus, minus, minus, plus, minus, plus. Okay. So this is alternative. So I mean, it's easy to put. So if I want to calculate, say now, okay, so see, this is the matrix. I want to calculate the determinant. So I am taking the second row. Now I'm taking the second row. So let me write it again. Let me write it again. So I'll just write all the A's, row number, row number, row number, and then column number 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. Fine. Say I want to calculate the determinant using the second row. So how will I do? Here comes the minus for with the cofactor. Here comes the plus with cofactor. Here comes the minus with cofactor. So I'll write minus A21 into the minor of this A21. The what will be the minor of A21? It will be A12, A13, A32, A33. Plus again we'll take the next one, A22. We'll write again the minor. What will be the minor of A22? We cut the row, we cut this row and this column, the rest we write. So it will be A11, A13, A31, A33. Now we write the next element, that is minus A23. And okay, So what this will be, A11, A12, A31, A33. Am I clear up to this point? Okay. So it's easy now. So you can calculate the determinant now. So this is A21. How do we calculate these terms? What we do, we multiply these. So A12, A33 minus, we multiply these. So A32, A13. The next term is A22. What we do, we multiply this minus this. So A11, A33 minus A31, A13. Then again minus A23. We write the term. What the term is, A11, A33 minus A31, A31, and it's what the term, A12. Okay, so this will give you the determinant. So this is most general way to calculate the determinant. But in the previous class I have told you, it would be good, if there is any term, say we are taking, right now we are taking the second row. But why do we prefer the second row? I mean, why do I start with second row? So if there is any zero in the second row, I prefer the second row, because it will on the spot make one term complete zero. Because as you see, if the A21 is zero, this is zero, so we will not have to calculate this term. We will have to calculate only these two terms. Okay, so I have told you the ways in which you can make some elements zero. So you can add one row to another row, you can subtract one row to another row via some multiplicative factor. Same goes with columns. So you can add some column to other column via some multiplicative factor, or you can subtract one column to other column. And why we do that? We want to put zero in some elements place. Okay. So up to this point, am I clear? Yeah. So I'll definitely give one example to it. So I'll also give some homework also on this. So let's calculate the determinant of, so let's calculate the determinant of say d equals to 130, 264 and minus 102. So I'll suggest you take down your pen and paper and start doing it, because and when you do, I'll prefer you take this row or this column, because there is already 10 there. Okay, so yeah, and one more thing you can also do. See, this column has one here, and I, with this one, I can make this 30. So what I can do, I can multiply this row with this column with 3, and I can subtract this into the second column. So what this will be, say we just write the first column as it is, we write the last column as it is. Now we are multiplying 3 in the first one and subtracting in the second one. So what this will be, 0. We are multiplying 3 into 2 and 3 into 2 and subtracting it into the 6. What this will be, 0. We are multiplying 3 and subtracting, this will be 3. So if I want to calculate the determinant, what the determinant will be, I'll take this row, because the two elements are 0 here. Okay, so this is it's not 12, it's minus 12. So okay, so I'll repeat again. Okay, Jyoti, no problem. So see, what I want to do, I want to make terms most of the terms 0, so that I don't have to calculate a lot of cofactor or minus. Okay, so what I do, I already have a 0 here. I have a 3 here. If somehow I can make this 3 to 0, so what I have to do, I'll take this one and I'll have to calculate only this cofactor. Okay, so that will do my calculation a lot easier. So how can we do? We take first column and we multiply it by 3 and then subtract it into the second column. So okay, so up to this point, am I clear? Okay, so there is no operation in the third column, so I wrote third column as it is. I wrote first column as it is also because I am not multiplying anything and putting it in the first column. What I'm doing, I'm multiplying with 3 in the first column and subtracting it into the second one. So if I multiply 1 by 3 and subtract it into the, so if I multiply 1 by 3 and subtract it into the 3, what will I get? 0. If I multiply 3 into 2 and then subtract into 6, what will I get? 0. If I multiply 3 into minus 1 and subtract it into 0, what will I get? 0 minus 3 equals to 3. Okay. So now if I have to calculate the determinant of it, what it will be? It will be plus 1. It will be plus 1. And what will be the minor of this? It will be 0, 4, 3, 2. Now what we have to do? We multiply this minus this. So 1 multiplied by 0 minus 12 equals to minus 12. Easy, na? So this way you always try to do some row or column operation uh, so that the calculation itself becomes simpler. You can take without any operation. You can take, say you are taking this row, or say you are taking this column. If you want to calculate, you can calculate and you will get the same determinant. Okay. So these are all about the cofactor and minus. So just to repeat, cofactors of determinant equals to sine into, sine means plus minus, into minor of determinant. Okay, so this is cofactor and minus. So let's go to inverse of a matrix. Inverse of a matrix. Okay, so just a second. Okay, so how do we calculate? Say I have given a matrix A that is in some form. It's a matrix. You can see the box. It's a matrix. So all those elements, A11, A12, A13, all those elements. Say I am taking 3 by 3 here. So how do we calculate A inverse? So what is A inverse? Let's first see what is A inverse. So uh, if you multiply any matrix with, say, some other matrix, and this gives you identity matrix, so this b is inverse of A. That is, we call B equals to A inverse. So A inverse is written as A to the power minus 1. So B is A inverse. So if B is the inverse of A, so that is A inverse equals to I, or this inverse property also commute. Commute means you can change the position, and this again remains the same, identity. So everyone remembers identity, what identity matrix is. Okay, so okay, I'll just write it down. So identity matrix is ones on the diagonal and 0 everywhere. So if you multiply a matrix by some matrix and if it gives you identity, it's the inverse of that matrix. Fine. So how do we calculate the inverse of matrix? So there I'll teach you two methods. The first method is by determinant method. So deter determinant method. What does determinant method says? Determinant method says that if you want to calculate the inverse of some matrix, what you do that you divide determinant of A to cofactors transpose. So you calculate the cofactors of A, then you take the transpose and you divide by determinant of A. So cofactors I just have told you, cofactors are with this plus minus, with this plus minus and those minors here, m11, m12 and all these are minus. So you put minus and then plus minus plus minus to form the cofactor matrix, and you take the transpose of it. So you take the transpose of it. So what this will be, C transpose will be, so this plus minus will also go like plus m11. Now the m, this m12 will come here, then plus m13. So the column become, so the row became column. So likewise you can write down the next column, the next column. So this will be the transpose of the cofactors. And when you divide this by determinant of A, so determinant of A will be divided into each of the element of the matrix, that will give you A inverse. Am I clear? Okay. So let's calculate. Let's do one example. So I'll start with 2 by 2. So 2 by 2 is always a easier case. So let's start here. So I'm writing A equals to, I have given a matrix say 3 1 2 4. If I want to calculate the A inverse of it, so what I have to calculate first, say I'll just write the cofactors of it. So what will be the cofactor? So let's write plus minus. So first, and then we'll fill up the all the blank spaces. So for this, what will be the cofactor? What we do that we cut this and I write the remaining thing. Okay, so what will be here? 4. What the next term? What the next term will be here? Uh, so I want to take the minor of this one. So what will I get the as a minor of 1? So I cut this row and this column. I'll get this 2. So here will be 2. Yeah. So what will I get in this place? I'll get 1. What will I get in this place? I'll get 3. So this is the cofactor. So for this place, I have taken this and cut this and this. What will I get? This 3. Okay. So this is the cofactor. Now I have to take the transpose of cofactor. So transpose of cofactor is 4 minus 2 minus 1 3. So this row became this column, this row became the next column. Fine. Let's calculate the determinant of A. So what's the determinant of A? It's 3 1 2 4. So it will be 12 minus 2 equals to 10. Fine. So now what we are going to do, we say A inverse equals to C transpose divided by determinant of A equals to 1 by 10, 4 minus 1 minus 2, 3. And this 1 by 10 will go in each term. Okay. So this some multiplicative factor on the matrix multiplies in each term. Okay, fine. So this we have seen. Na? So it will be 0.4 minus 0.1 minus 0.2, 0.3. So this is the A inverse of the matrix A. Matrix A, this 3 1 2 4. If you want to check, like the property I have told you, that A A inverse equals to I. So if someone wants to check, we can do the multiplication, matrix multiplication. So let's write 3 1 2 4, and here it will be 0.4. Okay, so what we can do, let's not write 0.4. We are taking 1 by 10 outside, so the calculation will be simpler. So here it will be 4 minus 1, 2, 3. Can we calculate it? So let's do it. How do we calculate this term, the first term? How do we calculate the first term? So what we do, it's the first column and first one first column. So we take the row of first one, column of first one. Okay, so 3 multiplies to 4, 1 multiplies to 2. So okay, have I missed some sign? Here should be minus 2. So okay, 3 multiplied to 4, 1 multiplied to minus 2. So what it gives? 3 into 4, 3 into 4 minus 1 into 2, because 2 is minus, so it gives 10. Fine, the first term becomes 10. What the second term will be? Second term, say this, I want to calculate this term. So what goes like second row first column, second row first column, that is because this position is 2 1, so second row and the first column. So second row is 2 multiplied by 4 minus 4 multiplied by 2 is 0. Okay, now we want to calculate this term. So the first row and second column, so this first row and this second column. So 3 into minus 1 plus 1 into 3 is 0. And next one you calculate minus 2 plus 12 is 10. So you see 1 by 10 inside 10 10. So if you divide 1 by 10 to 10 10, it gives 1 0 0 1, because 10 divides to each element. So it says uh, that if you multiply some matrix by its inverse, it gives you the identity matrix, and it's the verification of it. So this was the 2 by 2 case. Okay, so if I give you some 3 by 3 case, say let's say another example. Say I am giving you a matrix A minus 1 1 2 3 minus 1 1 minus 1 3 4. Let me check once. Minus 1 minus 1. Okay, so if I say, if I want you to calculate the inverse of this matrix, can you do? Yes or no? Do I need to solve it? I'll just give you the quick overview how to do it. Okay, so what first we have to write? Just the simple one. We have to make a matrix with plus and minus. Okay, so I write it as a plus and minus. What we calculate here, the minus. Okay, m12 m13, we calculate all the minus. So how do we calculate the minus here? What will be m11? M11 will be, so the first row goes, first column goes, it will be minus 1 1 3 4, and this calculates to minus 1 into 4 minus 3 into 1, that will be 4 minus 3 7. So m11 will be, this term will be 7. So likewise you can calculate the rest. Okay, so when you get the cofactor matrix, then you can calculate the C transpose. So so it is some 3 by 3 matrix now, 3 by 3. So each row of this matrix becomes the column of this matrix. Okay, I'll be a bit slow. So each okay, so each row of this matrix become the column of this matrix. So now you calculate the C transpose via calculating this minus. with this minus, you will get this cofactor matrix. With the cofactor matrix, you can calculate the transpose of cofactor matrix, and you have to calculate the determinant also of the matrix. So the determinant of 3 by 3 matrix you can calculate. Okay, so what will be the A inverse? It's the matrix that is the transpose of cofactors divided by the determinant of A itself. So this will be a 3 by 3 matrix. And since you have calculated the matrix, you have calculated the determinant, then you have calculated the A inverse. Am I clear up to this point? Okay, one confirmation. Fine, fine. So if someone asks you, does the inverse of a matrix exist? I mean, I have calculated the inverse, but in what case I cannot calculate the inverse? So I have said you that A inverse equals to transpose of cofactor matrix divided by determinant of A. Okay. So this was the formula I have told you. So if I say, give me one condition so that I cannot calculate this A inverse. So what that one condition will be? The one condition, one and only condition will be that this determinant of A is 0. So if some number divided by 0, what that will be? That's undefined. So if someone gives you a matrix and say that, tell me that the inverse of matrix exists or not, you first calculate the determinant of the matrix and see if it's 0, then you can definitely say that the inverse of the matrix does not exist. So what I suggest that before calculating the cofactor, you first calculate the determinant and you see if the determinant of the matrix is 0 or non-zero. If it's non-zero, then you should proceed, because there is no way, there is no way to calculate the inverse if determinant itself is 0. Okay, am I clear? Fine. So I'll give you some questions for you to do. Uh, if you have some problem, we'll do in the next later class. Fine. So now coming to the next topic, that is system of linear equations. System of linear equations. What are the system of linear equations? So if I write, you must have seen that some people write it ax plus by equals to c, and say a prime x plus b prime y equals to c prime, and they say you calculate x and y. So have you people encountered this type of calculation somewhere? I'm sure you must have seen this kind of thing. And what you do, that you take either x or y from here and you substitute in the first one, and you calculate the other variable from there, and likewise you do the substitution and you calculate the uh, yeah, in 10th class. So yeah, so you calculate those x and y's. if i say you if I say you, let's write it like a bit lengthy way. Say ax 1, say a1 x1, not like a1 x1. Let's write a11. Instead of xy, I'm writing x1 x2 x3. Okay, so because I want to use more variables, so I'm writing this x1 plus some coefficient multiplied by x2 plus some coefficient multiplied by x3 plus some coefficients multiplied by x4 equals to, say, let's say b1. And these are all the coefficients, and I just index it as 1 1 1 2 1 3 1 4. Fine. Likewise, okay, so if you have seen that to calculate the x and y, you need two equations here because there are two unknowns. So if there are two unknowns, you need two equations. Fine. If there are four unknowns, these are the four unknowns, you need four equations to solve. So likewise, I can write a21x1 plus a22x2 plus and so on. Likewise, x3 and x4 equals to b2. And likewise, I can write all the four equations. And if I say you now, you calculate x1, x2, x3, x4, will it be complicated? Or instead of four unknown, I give you 10 unknowns. Will that be complicated to calculate via substitution method? Yes. So let's write this first equation in a matrix form. So what we do, we write this as, here is the coefficient, here is the unknown, and here is the right hand side. So we write a prime, b prime, x, y, c, and c prime. So you see, I have converted the system of linear equations into a matrix form. Is this form clear, or should I explain it? Clear, na? So because, yeah, because you do matrix multiplication, ax plus by equals to this, and then a prime x plus b prime y equals to this. So this is simple matrix multiplication. I have written this equation in the matrix form. Okay. Now let's write this one in the matrix form. So it's also simple. So what I do, this is the normal matrix with those coefficients a11, a12, a13, a14, a21, and so on, and so on, all these like a and n. And here are the all the unknowns. So x1, x2, and so on, xn. So I am taking n equations and n unknowns, and the right hand side will be b1, b2, and so on, bn. Fine. So the system of equations became in the matrix form. It's just simple, and it looks very simple. I mean, there is nothing complicated in this. So all the coefficients in one matrix, all the unknowns in one vector, and the resultant is another vector. So see, this is a matrix. This is a vector. Sorry, vector. This is also vector. Vector means it has a say how many rows, n rows by one column. So it is also vector. So can how to say, like, say, I am giving you one example. So if I say 1 2 5 9, and if I, here is one some vector, say 1 1 equals to, it gives something. So say 1 plus 2 is 3, and 5 plus 9 is 14. It gives 3 and 14. So what does this represent? What does this represent? Say if I draw, say the first variable unknown here, the second unknown here, and say 1 1. So this was the vector 1 1. So x1 is 1, this one 1, and x2 is 1. What I have done, I have operated this matrix on this vector, and now the vector became 3 and 14. So 3 and 14, something like this. So what it does to vector, so it's something like a function. So you operate a matrix on a vector and it gives you something else. So this is a interpretation of what we wrote in the above these things. So that was in 2D space. This is now in n dimensional space. Okay, so n dimensional space is really hard to visualize. Actually, yeah, it's actually really hard to visualize. And now this is just a coefficient matrix. I am applying it on a vector, I am getting a second vector. That's just a simple interpretation. Now let's try to calculate it. So what we do, we write this matrix. Let's give you one simple example also. What we are going to do. I need your response here. Okay. So can I subtract one row in other, or can I subtract one row? Uh, okay. So which part is not clear, Jyoti? Example. So okay, this example. Okay, fine. So okay, so I am saying there is a vector 1 1. This is just a illustration of what we are writing. Okay, so I have a simple vector 1 1. So if how do we draw this 1 1? So what it does, so how do we draw this 1 1? This is 1 1. Okay, so these are the, say this is x and this is y, these are the two unknowns. Fine. Up to this point, am I clear? Okay, what I have done, I have operated a matrix 1 2 5 9 on this vector, or say I have written something like this. So this f is getting operated on this, and I am getting something else. So if I multiply, if I operate this matrix on this thing, I get something else. That is, we what we do, that we just rotate some vector from one position to other position by applying a matrix to some vector. Am I clear this time? Okay, so yeah, so this vector was 3 and 14. So it's written here, no? It's 3 and 14. Okay, so with this one, I want your response. So these are the two equations. Can I subtract one equation from other, this one, or and can we subtract one equation from other by multiplying, say, some 5 or some factor? Yes, we can. Thank you. So what are we going to do here? We what we write this form. Yeah, we write this form as a b, a prime, b prime, and then c and c prime. For now, we neglect this and x and y, and we are going to do row operations. We are going to do row operations. All the row operations we can do, because we see here that we can do row operation. Na? We can subtract one from other, we can add one to another. So these row operations are allowed. So what we will do, we'll do all the row operation in this form. We'll write a matrix in this form. This form is called augmented matrix, or augmentation matrix. People call it augmentation matrix. So now, a matrix with coefficients on left hand side and their RHS on the right hand side, and we'll do some row operations. So we can convert a system of linear equations into augmented matrix form, and we will do some row operations on this augmented matrix form. Okay, so this was the whole point of this part. Now how do we, there is a procedure. So there is a procedure to do those row operations to simplify the equation, and that procedure is called the Gauss elimination method. uh, Augmented is one with all the elements, bid equation and values on each one, right? Yes, Shivani, yes. So the, yeah, Gauss elimination method. uh, just a second. Yeah. Okay. So uh, let's write a matrix. Let's write a matrix. So let's write a system of equations first. Let's write a system of equations. 3x1 plus 2x2 plus x3 equals to 3. 2x1 plus x2 plus x3 equals to 0. 6x1 plus 2x2 plus 4x3 equals to 6. Okay. So this is the system of equations and I want to solve it. So what the first thing we want to do, we write this as augmented matrix form, that is 3 2 6 2 1 2 1 1 4 3 0 6. Fine up to this point. Okay. Okay. So what we want to do, I want to make this matrix, sorry, sorry. I want to make this matrix into upper triangular form. Upper triangular, I hope you remember, upper triangular is the form like, uh, say some value here, some value here, some value here, some value, some value, some value, all the zeros here. So this is upper triangular because including the diagonal, all the values on the upper triangular zero. Some one or two value may be zero, but all the below side on the diagonal, they are all zero. So it's called the upper triangular matrix. So we want to reduce this equation into upper triangular form. So how do we do? So what we do, we subtract this into this by multiplying 2. Okay. And what we do, okay, so let's write the first one by one. Okay, let's not jump. So let's write the first one as it is, 3 2 1 3. Second one as it is, 2 1 1 0. Third one, what we are going to do, we are multiplying by 2 in the first one and then subtracting it into the third row. So this will be 0. What this will be minus 2. This will be 2. This will be 0. Okay. So that operation will also be done on the right hand side. Is that clear? Okay. So what, please repeat. Okay. Okay, so I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to, okay, so I want to make it in the upper triangular form. So how do we do? So we take this element and multiply with something to subtract in this one, and multiply with something to subtract in this one, to make these two elements zero. So I want to make these two elements zero with the help of this first one. Okay, the first element of the first row. So I take this one, multiply something and subtract in the second one to make it zero. And I take again this one and multiply with something and subtract in the last one to make it zero. This is the basic operation I want to do. So first of all, I want to make these two zero. Okay. This is clear, huh? R3 minus 2R1. Yes, Tanya. Huh. So as Tanya said that the operation was R3 minus 2R1. So we can write this, we can use this notation actually. Thank you, Tanya. So we have to do 3 into 2 minus 6 to make it 0. Yes, yes, Shivani. So yeah, so we have taken this row and then subtracted 2 of this row. So yeah, so we have made this element 0. Now what we have to do, we have to make this element 0. Okay, so so actually this matrix is okay, fine, let's do it. So let's write the first one as it is, 3 2 1 3, last one as it is. Now what we are going to do, we are multiplying, what should I multiply? 2 by 3 na? And subtract it in this one. So 2 by 3 multiplication into 3 gives 2, and this 2 minus 2 is 0. So this will be 0. This will be 1 minus 4 by 3, and this will be 1 minus 2 by 3. So, and this will be 0 minus 0 minus 3 by 3 into 2, 0 minus 2. Is this operation okay? Should I repeat, or is this is okay? Okay na? So what I did, I did R2 minus 2 by 3 R1 to make this element 0. No, Tanya, we cannot apply the column operation because it will violate the equation rule which I have told you. That again I'll explain that we can subtract one equation from other, but we cannot subtract x, the coefficients of x to y. So see, we can do all the row operation here, but these column operations are not permitted. Fine. Now okay, so say let's write the proper form. So it will be 3 minus 2 and 0. The first one will be 3 2 1. It will be, last one will be minus 2 2, and this will be 0, minus 1 by 3, and this will be 1 by 3. Fine. Now what we have to do, we will make it 0, this one, so that all the equations become into the upper triangular form. So how do? We have to use, we have to do some operation here. Okay, so let's write other things as it is. 3 minus 2 0, 3 2 1, 0 minus 1 by 3, 1 by 3. Okay, so what do we multiply? Okay, let's see, it should be 3 6, what it should be, 2 by 3 into 1 by 3, 2 by 3. 2 by 3 is okay, I guess. Is it? Yeah, I think 2 by 3 is okay. So let's do R3 minus 2 by 3 R2. So 0 0, you multiply 0 to something and then subtract to 0 is 0. You multiply by 2 by 3, so no, no, not 2 by 3. What should I write? You multiply 3, sorry, let's write 3, multiply 3, and multiply 6. Yeah, it should be 6, sorry, it should be 6. 6, yeah. If I multiply 6 to 1 by 3, it will be 2. So 2 minus 2 minus 2, subtract 0, and this will be 2, and this will be 2. So this will also be 0. Am I clear? Okay. So okay, so this is okay. So what we have got actually here. So if I write, say, let's not, okay, so I'll just write it clearly here. So okay, just a second. Now the voice is okay. Okay. So what? So I have told you that let's form the matrix in the form like A1, A2, A3, 0, B1, B2, or B2, B3, and 0, 0, C3. And here say right hand side say D1, D2, D3. If I can make somehow with the Gauss elimination method, this is easy. So if I can make this, so the solution will be, so I can rewrite this matrix as A1x plus A2y plus A3z equals to D1, 0 into x plus B2y plus B3z equals to D2, 0 into x plus 0 into y plus C3z equals to D3. So you can see that how simplified this equation became, that from the third one, from this one, you can directly calculate z equals to D3 by C3. Okay. So now you know z. So since you know z, you can calculate y directly from here. So what will be y? Y equals to 1 by B2 D2 minus B3 z. And what is z? 1 by B2 D2 minus what is z? That is D3 by C3. Fine. Now you know y and z, then you can calculate x by putting this y and z to the right side and divided by the coefficient of x. So you will get x also. So the equation got solved. Am I clear up to this point? Sorry, I'll just put the screen as it is. If you have any problem up to this point, let me know. Okay, so I'll move ahead. I didn't got any response. Okay. So now we have this. We have this. Fine. So with this one, we can see that the form, the form is bit different. Sorry. We have this. So we can see this form is bit different than this form. Why different? Because we had C3 here, but we have 0 here. So if if we can exactly make it in the upper triangular form, okay. Uh, okay, so is the voice is okay now? Let me know. Uh, okay. So the problem you see that we had C3 here, but we have a 0 here. So it's actually a problem. So if you have a 0 here, you cannot make it exactly in this form, because C3 is 0, so you cannot calculate z here. Okay, so if you cannot calculate z here, how will you calculate y? And then if you cannot calculate y, how will you calculate x? So it's a problem. So what we do as a solution, we say we say let's put z as some arbitrary value. So we take z as say some t, and we calculate y and x in some form of t, and we say that there exists infinitely solution, infinite solution depending on the t. So as we change t, we get different values of x, y, and z. Am I clear? Yeah. So let's write this now. 3 2 1 minus 1 by 3 1 by 3 3 minus 2. Okay, so let's write it here. 3 2 1 0 minus 1 by 3 1 by 3 0 0 0 x y z equals to what it was, 3 minus 2 0. Fine. Now we multiply something. So say we write it as 3x plus 2y plus z equals to 3, minus y by 3 plus z by 3 equals to minus 2, and just these two equations, because 0 into z equals to 0 is nothing. I mean 0 into z equals to 0 gives z equals to nothing. So we can say that z is some arbitrary number t, because you multiply something with 0, you will get 0. So z equals to some arbitrary number t, and by with taking this t, z equals to t, so we have z equals to t, so we can calculate y equals to minus 2 plus y by 3 multiplied by, sorry, this will be z by 3 multiplied by 3. uh, no, no, that's not correct. Sorry, minus z by 3 into minus 3, and this will be the answer. I mean it's minus 6 minus 2t, that is y, and you have y and you have z, then you can calculate x. So x equals to 3 minus 2y minus z divided by 3, that is you put, I mean that will be some function of t. Okay, so you see, if I say that t equals to 0, you will get 1 xyz. If I say t equals to 1, you will get another xyz. So depending upon t, you will get infinitely many solutions, and this is just because we had 0 here. And what these positions are called, positions, these positions means these positions, these diagonal positions in upper triangular form, we call these pivots. So this o here, but we pronounce it as pivots. So these are the pivots. So these are the pivots, and if there is a 0 in the pivot form, there is some problem. I mean this problem you have seen. So now when you reduce this in the upper triangular form, or normally we call it an as a row echelon form. So you will also see somewhere we call it as a row echelon form. What is row echelon form? It's like a step. It's like a step. Like the step here we have formed like this. It's like a step. So if the element was also here, so we'll form the step like this. So row echelon form is like something like step. So say the form is something like this. It's the diagonal, and then these are all zeros. These are the pivot positions, and here are some values. Fine. So this is called the row echelon form. So what? So you can see the clear form that we put all the zeros below. We put all the zeros below. We put the pivot as a diagonal form, and this is the form. And yeah. So if you have this form, what you can say about this? Let's say let's say let's take this example as it is. So we had 3 2 1 0 minus 1 by 3 1 by 3 0 0 0 x y z 3 2 3 minus 2 0. Okay, So this, what this last equation became, what this, if we take this last one, so it was 0 equals to 0. So is this 0 equals to 0 clear? It's actually important. So yeah, so yeah, if say in this place of 0, say if in this place of 0 I had 1, say 1 or some number, say 1 or 2 or 12 or something, so what this would have become, this would have become 0 equals to 12. Okay, is this clear? 0 equals to 12. So if 0 equals to 12 I get, it means it's inconsistent. I mean, how can we 0 equals to 12? It's wrong. So if I get some row and some rows of zeros and corresponding to that value, it is non-zero. So that is wrong actually. So there is nothing like we can say that ax equals to b. It's wrong. It's wrong because we are getting 0 equals to something. So in that case, we say that there is no solution. Okay. Am I correct? If 0 equals to 12, we say that there is, okay, so this x and this cross seems exactly same. I'll put it larger. So yeah, so if 0 equals to 12, we say there is no solution. So we have three cases here. We have three cases and these three cases are important. And you don't have to remember it. What you have to do, you have to make it in the upper triangular and or better I say row echelon form, and from there you calculate, you see if it has a many, infinitely many solutions, or it has no solution, or it has a unique solution. So when given a system of linear equation, when can we say it has unique solution? So unique solution becomes when, say, when there are when there are n by n matrix. N by n matrix means, n by n matrix means we have n unknowns. And unknown means x, y, x1, x2, x3, x4 up to xn. And we have n equations. So all these rows represent equations, how many equations we have. And all these columns represent all the number of variables available, unknown variable available. So this n represents the number of equation, this n represents the number of unknown variables. Fine. So if we have exactly equals to n by n, and we can form the upper triangular matrix with all these pivots, with all these non-zero pivots, non-zero, non-zero pivots, then we can exactly calculate what the solution will be. I mean, from this we equate to the right hand side, then we will get the last xn. Then putting this last action xn to the above equation, we will get xn minus 1. Then we will get xn minus 2. Up to this we will get x1. So we can get exactly one solution, that is unique solution. We cannot change it with some help of some arbitrary number. So we can get unique solution. This unique solution clear? Fine, let's move ahead. We can have infinitely many solutions. When we can have infinitely many solutions, that say we are taking n by n matrix. Now again we are taking n by n matrix, and there is some unknown vector, and we are getting right hand side something, and we are getting at least one rows of zeros, and we are getting the right hand side again here 0. So we say that we see that 0 equals to 0 we can form, but also we cannot solve it because we cannot exactly solve it because here is a 0 on the pivot position. So we take some arbitrary number t, or some a or b, some arbitrary number, and we solve the other equations, we solve other equation in terms of this t, and this t has can this t can has any number. So depending on this t we have solutions. So we can say that if some row is 0 and corresponding to that number is also 0, we have infinitely many solution. But we cannot have any solution, that is no solution, no solution case, when we have 0 on the matrix side and we have some number here. Then we say that since 0 cannot equals to c, and we, from this equation we are seeing that 0 equals to c, which is wrong. So we will not have any solution because equation itself is wrong. So in that case there will be no solution. So these are the three cases we will get. And okay, so before going to end, just tell me, am I clear up to this point? Yes, Jyoti confirms. Fine, fine. Let's move ahead. So before, so going to the end part, there comes the rank of a matrix. You will see that all these things are connected. You have not to do anything else. All these things are connected. So we have Gauss elimination method. We have reduced it to the upper triangular form. We formed the pivots. We made it into the row echelon form. How actually I should tell you how to. Okay, so before going to the rank of matrix, let's say while doing some row operations, I get something like this. Say A1, A2, A3, D1. Okay, so 0, 0, B3, D2, 0, C2, C3, D3. So we see that this pivot form is okay because there is some number. This pivot form is wrong because there is 0, and this pivot, sorry, yeah. So but if we see that this has some number, and if we interchange these two rows, the equation becomes okay. I mean, the now the pivots will be okay. So this will be A1, A2, A3, D1. Now we are going to interchange these two rows. So it will be 0, C2, C3, and this right hand side also changes, D3, and now this will become B3 and D2. So now you see that these pivots are now in the upper triangular form, and we can solve it easily. So this is a way by which you can make it in the upper triangular form. Fine. So there is one case also. So these are the methods which you have to use to make it in the row echelon form. Okay. So let's do something else. Let's write it down, like suppose something new. So it was, the matrix was, let's say D1, D2, D3. Sorry, D2, D3, A1, A2, A3. We have done some row operations and we got 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, B3. Sorry, it should be C3. So as you can see, just a second. Yeah, as you can see, this is not in a row echelon form. This is not in a row echelon form because it's not like step. Like, I mean, the first position is here, but the first pivot is in the right place, and there is a non-zero quantity here, but it should be above here. It should be somewhere here to make it look like step. So the echelon means something like step. So what we do, we will again exchange it to make these zeros into the bottom side. We will push zeros in the bottom side and make it in the step looking form. So it will be, the first one will be as it is, D1. We will change 0, 0, C3. it will be D3, 0, 0, 0, and D2. Fine. So this is a row echelon form. And what I am going to tell you is this, since this matrix has a rank 2, it has a rank 2, it has a rank 2 because there are two non-zero pivots. I mean, okay, so let me clear it. Let me say it in some other word. It has two non-zero rows and one zero row. So the number of non-zero rows is the number of rank. So it is equals to number of non-zero rows. Fine. So what is the rank? After reducing it to the row echelon form, the non-zero rows is the rank of the matrix. So what does the rank of a matrix tells? So I have told you everything. I just have to connect it to the rank. So rank is normally represented by R. Okay. So let's say now what are we going to do? We say that, okay, so we have a matrix, we have a system of equations. So we have, let's say we have three equation and four unknowns. Okay, so three equation and four unknowns, it means three rows and four columns. And after it, we will reduce it to the some row echelon form, and it will be something like some value here, some value here, some value here, some value here. These all has some value or some zero, but so you can see this is in the row echelon form. And after converting it, we have three non-zero rows. So it has a rank 3. But three equation cannot solve four unknowns. We need four equations. So yeah. So if 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 it was 4 by 4 and the rank is also 4, we will have a unique solution, because if it was 4, we'll have one value also here, then we can calculate all the solutions. So it will be unique solution. Okay. But if the rank, so say if the rank R is less than the number of unknowns, so what we will have? Can someone say what we will have? So rank is less, but the number of unknowns are more. So we will have infinitely many solutions. Why infinitely many solutions? Let me clear it. Say I'm saying that I have one equation. So 5x plus 2y equals to 9. I have just one equation and two unknowns. So one equation, if I make it in the matrix form, it will be something like this. 9, it is 5, 2, x and y. So you see, we have one equation and two unknowns. And equation, so if we have one row, what will be the rank? Rank will be 1, because there is only one non-zero row. But we have, which is less than number of unknowns, which is equals to 2. So we will have infinitely many solutions, because if I want to calculate x in terms of y, I will write 9 minus 2y by 5. So depending upon the value of y, that we can assign some value t. Depending on the value t, we will get x. So whatever we will put as a y, we will get x. So they are linearly dependent on each other, and we cannot have unique solution. There will be infinitely many solutions. Am I clear up to this point? Yeah. So this was the rank of a matrix. So we still actually okay. So I think it's okay up to now. We can do. I can give some homework. So you need to do something, because if you will not practice, you will forget everything. Okay. So let's write something. So we have to calculate the rank of a matrix. You calculate the rank of a matrix. What will be the rank of a matrix? Uh, so this is not a square matrix. It's 3 by 4 matrix. 1, 2, 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 6, 8, 10. All you have to do is to do the row operations. Look, again I am clearing this, that there is, you cannot do any column operation. You have to do all the row operations only. So you can calculate the rank of the matrix, and looking at the system itself, you can say that there will be, if I write in some equation form, linear equation form, so there will not be unique solution, because there are 3 equation and 4 unknowns. Okay, so unique solution is not possible. The only possibility is that there will be infinitely many solution or no solution. So this in no solution depends on the right hand side, what this right hand side will be. If this row becomes all 0 and there is not 0, so the solution will be non-existent. And if it's 0, so there will be infinitely many solution. Okay, so this is rank of the matrix, Gauss elimination method, uh, row echelon form. This one, I'll give you some more examples. Just a minute, I'll just have to check. So we should do some matrix inverse also, some example on the inverse of a matrix. Okay. So have I told you that if the matrix is diagonal, say a matrix is diagonal, say A, B, C, and all zeros, what will be the inverse? Have I told you? I think I haven't told you. So so what you do to calculate the inverse of this matrix? So inverse will be, this is the special case. Okay, so inverse will be 1 by A, 1 by B, 1 by C. You can calculate it by the method which you have seen, that A inverse equals to C transpose, that is transpose of cofactors divided by determinant of A. If you will calculate, you will get this. So if the matrix is in the diagonal form, the inverse will be simply 1 by all those diagonal elements. Okay, this was simple. Uh, so let's for homework, let's take to calculate the inverse of 1, 2, 5, 0, 1, 4, 0, 0, 1. First you have to check that if the inverse exists, then only calculate, otherwise there is no point. Okay, so this is one matrix. Let's write the other one. So other one is -4, 0, 0, 0, 8, 13, 0, 3, 5. and the other one is, this one is 2 by 2. So this one is, say, let's say cos 2 theta sin 2 theta minus sin 2 theta and cos 2 theta. So do you remember this trigonometric calculation, or I mean these are just the formulas, no? So like sin 2 theta equals to 2 sin theta cos theta, and cos 2 theta equals to what, cos square theta minus sin square. I think I have written it correctly. So these are the forms. So you just do some manipulation and you will get the inverse of this. So you have to calculate the A inverse of all these. Fine. So that determinant method I have told you. The other method I will tell you the next time, that is Gauss-Jordan method. I didn't have time this time. Okay, so the next homework what we can take, we have to calculate some, we have to do some okay, so we have to do some this linear equation solution, na? Fine. Yeah, so okay. Yeah, I'm giving you to calculate some determinants also. So you have to calculate the determinant of this 4 by 4 matrix: 0, 4, minus 1, 5, minus 4, 0, 3, minus 2, 1, minus 3, sorry, 1, minus 3, 0, 1, minus 5, 2, minus 1, 0. So can you calculate 4 by 4? I mean 3 by 3 you know, 2 by 2 you know. All you have to do is make something 0, and from there you write minus. Minus will be here, minus and cofactor. So minus will be 3 by 3 here because the matrix is 4 by 4. Then from that 3 by 3 you have to do something and then make it to 2 by 2 and then calculate it. So it can be a bit lengthy. Okay, let's uh, fine, I think we can do up to this. If I find some more problems, because yeah, if I find some more problems, I will put in on the Google Classroom. There in the next class, we will see what problems you did, and if you have any problem, you can ask me. We will try there. So yeah, so I think that's okay. We are out of time now. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.